Alright folks, how's it going here? It's quite late. I won't keep you long. I thought that we could try a little experiment if you're up for it. What I want to do is I want to propose the world's most offensive social theory. The reason that it's going to be remembered forever as the world's most offensive social theory is because I'm going to superimpose it onto people who consider themselves progressive, liberal, educated and cultured. And I'm going to superimpose it with quite a level of force and certainty that they are going to feel like they're being accused of something untoward, regardless of whether that is my intention or not. The whole purpose of this is essentially to let people know what it's like to be on the receiving end of a privilege check, of a telling off, of an insinuation or inference that you may not have the full picture of what's really going on in life, and perhaps you need to update your knowledge somewhat. Otherwise, you are complicit in industrial scale abuse and oppression of some sort. Now, before I go into my theory, can I apologise to the vast majority of people who follow me out there, who've been listening to my music for many years, who are wondering what the fuck has happened to me because I sound and talk like a wanker in real life and online. It's true, I've become quite obsessed with this particular area of thought, and I noticed when I was playing my partner my new album in the car, a rough version of it, which is called Trigger Warning, by the way, and it's a story exploring all the themes that we've been talking about recently on these vlogs. Anyway, she had the most bizarre reaction to it ever. It was a sort of it was a reaction like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You know, like. Here's the social theory. Have you ever heard of gaslighting? Right, this theory of gaslighting. So gaslighting is a psychological technique that is alleged to go on in abusive relationships, right? Now, if you look at what gaslighting means, I'm sure everybody kind of gaslights a wee bit. It's this idea that an abuser capitalizes on the confusion of their partner and feeds that confusion to further destabilize the partner so that they can present themselves either as a rescuer or can take advantage of the deep confusion that the partner feels and thus exert more force and dominance over the partner, thus taking more control of the relationship. So it's a powerful theory, and it's a theory that you, if you haven't heard of it before, you will hear it. It's a word that is used increasingly to describe this dynamic in relationships. Now, so that's a theory that describes relationships. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extrapolate that to massive scale over a society, and then I'm going to superimpose it, right? I'm going to superimpose it over the society, which is what a lot of our friends have been doing. And so I'm taking a theory and I'm scaling it up, and I'm saying that the liberal institutions, the academics, the church, the labour movement, the left, the progressives, all of the institutions that usually create space for the struggles and troubles of the underclass to exist, I'm going to say that they collectively are gaslighting the working class population. So what we have now is we've got a working class population or an underclass population that actually is beginning to feel like it's going insane, because it's looking out into the world and it's looking out into society, and it is seeing one version of society which is not accounted for by all of these other liberals, progressives, and so on and so forth. who are all lost in their own wee conversation about making sure not to offend people while also preserving their own wee places that they've carved out for themselves. And this means not rocking the boat too much. So I'm going to put forth that the Liberals and the Progressives, they are gaslighting everyone, and that what we are seeing is an ugly class dynamic which is underneath all of this current debate that's going on. And with the EU referendum, what you have is two different sets of elites arguing over the scraps, a servile population who is saying, oh, we'll just have to choose the lesser of two evils. I mean, we're just so useless at this point. We'll probably go with Boris. Oh no, we'll go with David. Oh, this is terrible state of affairs. And that's where we're at. And what's really going on underneath all of that is the things that people are trying to say that they think is wrong with our society. They've got educated, liberal-minded, middle-class, cultured people in newspapers, on television, all telling them that they're wrong. All telling them that if they have views about immigration and how it's affecting their community, they're telling them, no, that is in your head. That's in your head. That is abuse. So that's abusive, to tell someone that a problem centres in their mind when they're pretty sure that they see the problem in their community with their own eyes. It wouldn't fly if any other person was to say that about any other social problem. It wouldn't fly if someone said that about feminism. It wouldn't fly if someone said that about transgenderism. Oh, it's all in your head. It's all in your head, you know. So if people are saying immigration is affecting their community adversely and they're being told it's in their head, that's gaslighting. Now, how do they get away with it? Well, they get away with it because they exercise a ridiculous level of privilege in terms of defining what the narrative, is in the society. We see evidence of this all the time. In Scotland, during the year of the referendum campaign, we had the Commonwealth Games. During the Commonwealth Games, there was a complete political amnesty where no one tried to benefit politically from the fact the Commonwealth Games was here. So one narrative, ascended, and it was a narrative about sport being a great thing and the Commonwealth being a great thing. It was a great, great thing. The thing is, in the schemes, in the housing projects, in the shadow of the Commonwealth Games, there were lots of problems because the local people had been tuffed off their own land, had been inconvenienced. There were thousands of signs erected in loads of different languages to divert people who were visiting the country around. But there were communities in places like Cranhill that haven't even been signposted for 30 years. And the internet wasn't working in the library there, while there's Wi-Fi hotspots for people going to see athletes passing lumps of metal to each other. So one narrative ascended, and that was, this is a big success, but the whole experience of the underclass was edited out. It was a similar thing as well when we saw that the Glasgow School of Art fire, which naturally was an upsetting thing for anyone who felt an emotional connection to it. But vast majority of people in Glasgow were looking on like that. Oh, what's that? I remember that. I think I went drinking there once. And everyone else was talking in the language of national tragedy, and Nicola Sturgeon was sending money directly to them, and Brad Pitt was getting involved, and everybody else is sitting watching TV, and they're like, that's not my life. Who writes the news? Who is it? What? Am I going mad here? What is going on? It's because the people who are in the privileged positions that prescribe the culture and prescribe the news and basically create all of the constituent parts for you to consume what you think is going on out there isn't actually going on in your life, and that is confusing. So when people tell you it's all in your head, that is abusive, that is gaslighting. How do they get away with it? They get away with it because, one, the abuser in this scenario really knows that they are the abuser. It usually takes an explosive act of violence or something similar to that to create a window of opportunity for some real reflection to go on about what is actually happening. I wonder what you thought about the world's most controversial social theory. You might want to leave some comments below. Let me know how you feel. Have you experienced lately symptoms of your life not really matching up with the life described by people like Jeremy Vine? Today, for example, he used the funeral of Joe Cox to pivot into a phone-in discussion in which he invited people in his audience to phone in and talk about eulogies that they had delivered at funerals in which they had broken down crying. That's why some of us watch the TV and we read the paper and we think we're going fucking mental because we're like, who are these people? What are they talking about? Are they living on another fucking planet? Am I going fucking mad? Night, folks.